Lights, camera, StimCath. Since a lot of people are quarantining and social distancing right now, I actually have gotten a couple requests to do a video about how to do better indoor videos. Now, I just did one recently talking about lighting, and I will link that whatever side that you link that at. But in this video, I want to talk about 6 things other than lights that will help you get better indoor videos. And I'll sort of go from the most useful to the least useful, but each one of them will help you in a different way to get better indoor video. The first thing that's going to help you get better indoor video is a tripod. And that's pretty obvious, but it's the most important thing. If you're trying to get stable footage in like a studio setting, you need to have a decent tripod. Now, the one I'm using is not exactly amazing. It's a pretty inexpensive version. ProMaster 6600. You know, if it says Pro, it's not. And I'm not really worried about if something bumps it or if I accidentally kick it with my leg, that it's going to wobble around or shake or anything like that. The next one is a microphone. Now, audio is one of the most important things. If you just listen to the on-camera microphones from the M50 sitting only about 2 feet away from me, you'd be able to hear the nebulizer and maybe a kid crying in the other room. And of course, you hear way more echo than you would otherwise using an external microphone. Picking up an external microphone is a lifesaver. It's going to help you so much. And when you put that on top of the camera, I cut my audio levels almost in half, and so you pick up less of that. But number 3 accessory, using a microphone in an indoor scenario, or really any scenario where your camera is farther away from you than you would like, and that's a microphone boom arm. The one I have, I've actually been using for most of my videos. Now, keep in mind that if you're extending it farther away from you, you need to have some sort of counterbalance on it because it's going to be a little bit front heavy, but I just hang my camera bag on it, not a big deal. What this does for you, and I've actually done an entire video talking about tips for getting crisper, better audio with the M50, but this basically gets the microphone closer to you. That gives you the ability to lower your audio levels down so you have less background hiss or noise, as it's called. But then also, the closer you get the microphone to your mouth, the less echo you're going to have and the less ambient surrounding noise you're going to have in your video, because the microphone is about 8 to 10 inches away from my mouth and my audio levels therefore are able to stay lower. The next thing you want to get, this is something that I actually had been planning on trying to pick up for a while now, but I hadn't because I wanted to get a really good one, and that is a secondary tripod. And I actually just went to Walmart and bought one for 15 bucks because in one of my videos I was like, I have to have another tripod. I just need to put a GoPro or a light on it, so I need to go out, buy this. I bought it, and since then, I've used it way more than I thought I would. And being able to do something like mount a light on it when you don't have a surface that you can set the said light on top of is really helpful. Or if you're trying to do like a secondary camera angle, having a secondary tripod that you can do that with to take video of your normal tripod instead of just having one is more invaluable of a resource than you might otherwise realize. Next is background. Now, this is not something that you really need to get, except that you kind of need to just get it neat. You don't want to have a lot of junk in your background. And actually, one thing that I've been doing recently is trying to clean up my background because I had noticed it was getting junkier and junkier and junkier. In fact, I was having so much stuff on this shelf that I was like, I'm gonna put a door on it because I needed to store stuff in there. I didn't want to have a mess on my shelf. So I just put 2 half doors that are only on half of that cabinet, mounted the cabinet on the wall, and now I have 2 very neat shelves that are lit, and then I have my lightsabers on the wall here because they don't fit on these shelves anymore. Having a neat background is going to make your video a lot more appealing to watch if people aren't distracted by a bunch of junk in your background. Now, you can have a cluttered background where you have a lot of stuff like Casey Neistat, Roberto Blake, all sorts of people have tons of stuff around them. But if you notice, it's always neat. Everything looks like it's where it's supposed to go. So it doesn't matter how much stuff you have behind you, as long as it looks neat and looks tidy, that is one thing that is going to really help your video. And the last thing is clamps. Now, I actually had heard a lot of YouTubers talk about those clamps, and I sort of blew them off saying, oh, come on, you don't need those types of clamps. It's not necessary. It can be useful, but I mean, whatever. You don't need a clamp. And then I realized, no, you don't need a clamp. But they come in really handy. And so all of those things that, like, 7 stupid things that you need as a filmmaker, yeah, that's one of them. I actually use these all the time. If I'm mounting up a blanket over this window because cloud cover is changing, I don't want my exposure going up and down, I like to block off this window. Or my rim light, I just have one mounted onto the face frame of this cabinet, and then my light's just sitting on top of it. These things come in way more handy than you realize. I know this wasn't a very long or complex video, but it's the simple, small things that can really help you get better video. Not the things, not the new things that people are constantly coming out with. Learning to use the things that are so old and so standard. Every one of the things that I mentioned today are things that you would see on a Hollywood site. You can't say that about a lot of the flashy filmmaking gear that we have nowadays. But the simple things like a boom arm and a tripod and a backup tripod and a clamp and cleaning up your background, those are things that you will see if you go to Hollywood or any independent production company making high quality films. They are going to have these things in some degree or another. I hope this helps you, give you something to do during this whole craziness, social distancing thing that's going on right now. And I hope that this is also content that you can continue to use throughout your entire time on YouTube or filmmaking. This is something that will help you any time you're doing any sort of production or video. It's not just while you're sitting at home quarantined, but it also is something to do and have fun doing when you're sitting at home quarantined. Stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next one.